Yo, this is Bristian from Bosslifehacks.com, and today I'll talk about stories and advice. More specifically, why stories can be much better than advice in some occasions and why that is so. So the first fundamental problem with advice is that you kind of need to be on the same stage as the person that is trying to give it to you, or the person you're trying to give it to, right? So what that means? It means that somebody who's been working really hard and gives out advice about how you need to take time to relax, it might not apply to you if you don't really know or are not really working so hard at the moment, right? For example, a business advice from somebody who's making a six-figure income, or maybe even more, about how to avoid taxes or different things, might not apply to you if you're just starting your first startup, or maybe you're just trying to get an internship. It's not the same kind of advice, right? Because you will perceive their problems through your own lens, and it just doesn't apply to you. They think about different sort of issues than you do. It's a little bit different, right? So the best thing for advice, for listening and for giving it, is to get it from a group that is very similar to you, either on the same level or a little bit higher than you, but not too far ahead, because otherwise you cannot benefit from their advice, because it's kind of out of your reality, right? So a few days ago I read a funny comment on my social media. It was about a book, and some person said the book only contains stories. I didn't learn anything, it just had stories inside. And that made me think, and I disagreed, because I think stories are a great learning tool. It's not a coincidence that all the bestsellers, on self-development, if you pay attention to them, there's a lot of stories in those books, about John and Mary who did this and did that. There's our whole culture as a species. We have stories, oral heritage, it's called, stories from the times people could first, speak. Basically, when speech developed, so did the stories, because it's how you, give information, how it kind of lives on. So why are stories so powerful? Because if I tell a certain story to two different people, and then ask them to tell the same story to somebody else, they will tell two different variations of the same story. Now, how is this possible? Because we all carry a sort of lens across our eyes, right? We all see the world a bit differently, and when we hear a story, we will color it. Maybe we will like the main protagonist, maybe we will dislike him, maybe we'll see some sort of action as good or bad, or any of the shades in between, right? And that's why the end result of our story will be different, right? It will have a different meaning for two different persons. For example, a metaphor of the sea or the wings will mean very different things to different people. And why this is so powerful? Because I can tell a story, and if the story has a good moral, there's a good point to the story, it will benefit the people no matter at which stage they are. I can tell a story, for example, one of my favorite ones is about the Little Prince, it's considered a children's book, right? However, it can benefit to a lot of adults as well, because it has some really complex metaphors and fine points, right? So that's why a story is a really powerful medium, and I don't think we should discard them as a learning tool, as an educational tool. In addition, there's a branch of psychotherapy that deals just with that. Basically, it uses storytelling as a technique of how to communicate with the subconscious mind and things like that, how to discover the deep inner beliefs and wants and needs. And usually they work more with children, because they're more in tune with this kind of medium, but they can be used in adult therapy as well. Additionally, storytelling is not only beneficial as advice, but it's also powerful in other forms. For example, marketing has already realized that marketers, especially the good ones nowadays, know that it's stories that matter. It's not just about the catchy titles and techniques and how to grab attention and, you know, how to create like a sense of urgency and all those techniques. They still work, okay, they're still techniques, but the paradigm is kind of shifting towards storytelling, because it's a story that will draw out something out of a person, right? For example, if you want to sell something, I don't know, a vacuum cleaner, right? It's not about making it urgent, because anybody who needs one has one, right? So it's not that easy to sell one. But if you create a compelling story about why precisely this vacuum cleaner is really important for you as a person to have it, why this company who produces it is like the best company with like the, I don't know, global impact and green energy and I don't know what kind of other sorts of, you know, like bullshit or not, whatever you want to call it. But the end point being, it's a story that matters, and it's a story that will compel people in the end to buy or like your product or, you know, identify with it and all the like. Okay, and since this talk was about advice and stories, let me close with one of my favorite stories. I'll try to capture it as best as I can. It's from the book called The Little Prince, and it's chapter 21, which talks about a fox and little prince, right? So you need to be a bit familiar with the whole book to kind of grasp the whole meaning of it. But basically, the little prince is like this amazing character, very, very, you know, insightful. He's on this alien planet and he encounters a fox for the first time, and he doesn't know what's a fox. And he's like, "What are you?" And the fox says, "Oh, I'm a fox." And then the little prince is, "Oh, can we be friends?" You know, very direct again. And the fox said, "Oh, it doesn't work quite like that. You have to tame me." And then they go on this like big discussion on, you know, how to tame somebody. And in the end, they all live happily ever after. Nah, just kidding. Yeah, my storytelling technique is not exactly on point yet, so I'll let you finish the story by reading it yourself. It's an amazing story and there's a lot of good metaphors to be learned from. Alright, so again, this was Boštjan from Bosslifehacks.com. I hope you enjoyed this video about advice and stories. A short recap: advice doesn't work because you kinda need to be on the same level as the person giving it to you. Stories work, and there's a reason they've been in our culture for ages. They work with your subconscious mind, and when you tell a story to different people, they will hear different things, you know, but still probably based on the main metaphor or the main moral of the story. So definitely use stories if you work with people, and don't, you know, get discouraged or don't be repelled by stories once you see them. You might learn something cool. Let me know what you think about the video. Have an amazing day and enjoy. Peace.